I just know what's written in that book where she's like, I don't know if I can take that. That's so big and round. You're listening to Getting Fae'd
Bonus Book Club.
Bonus book what?
This is the first episode of a bonus book club where we,
Meike,
Lukas,
and Lea are heading into the far reaches of romantasy and drift a little bit away from the ACOTAR series.
Goodbye.
Yes. And the thing is, we have a lot of fun reading ACOTAR, but we want
I thought it's a ACOTAR.
Yes, I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry. ACOTAR.
ACOTAR, Jones.
This is a sophisticated podcast.
ACOTAR.
We read the ACOTAR series. My darlings.
Yes, but
not today.
No, because we want to expand our horizons on all things romantasy. And when we heard that the folks at Critical Role were releasing a romantasy novel, and since I am a very big fan of Critical Role, that seemed like kind of the best place to start. So here we are, and we talk about Tusk Love today by Thea Guanzon.
Woo!
Obviously, we're not going on such a deep dive as we do with the ACOTAR books, because I don't know, I think I want to say a quart of, and then I go like ACOTAR.
Yeah. Enough ACOTAR. This is
what? Yes. Yes. And obviously, in one episode, we can't be as detailed as we are when we're talking about it chapter by chapter. But we will start with a little spoiler-free overview and our overall opinions, and then we follow with a little deeper dive.
Yeah. So if you haven't read it, just look out for a spoiler warning. I guarantee you're not gonna miss it.
Then read the book and then come back and listen to our thoughts on it.
So we start this book with a female main character. This is 20-year-old Guinevere, who is the daughter of a wealthy merchant. She is traveling down the Amber Road south to the coastal town of Nicodranus. But on her way, she is ambushed by bandits, which causes her deep, dark secret to come forth. But fret not, Guinevere is rescued by our male main character, 23-year-old half-orc named Oscar, with a K, who then promises to escort her safely toward Nicodranus. And on their travels, they withstand many dangers, and a wild romance blooms between the higher-born Guinevere and the low-born Oscar. And that's basically the plot.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a road romance movie, but as a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a road story.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I have a soft spot for these kind of straightforward, easy reads where you can just summarize the plot as quickly as you just did, and it's just kind of that and nothing more. And I was really intrigued to read this because I'm quite new to the romance and also smut genre, so I didn't really know what to expect.
Maybe let's do like spoiler-free opinions and then head on into the book and a more spoilery discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, so my opinion would be I liked it, but I could have done without the smut entirely. That's just me.
I really don't know what I felt reading the book. Because I think while reading it, I had a very analytical view because I took notes and wanted to think about stuff I would say in the podcast. And I think I have stuff I like, and then I have a lot of stuff that I didn't like. I'm just not sure if I would recommend the book. Maybe this book wasn't for me, but for people the book is for. This is a good book.
Yeah, the thing is, I think my opinion is colored very much by the context that I know from the campaign and where this book comes from.
Mm-hmm, makes sense.
And I have to say, I mostly found this book incredibly funny, context-wise, like what it has to do with the Critical Role story, but also very funnily written. Like, for example, I have one sentence, and it's I think from the first chapter, so not that much of a spoiler, but she talks about the oxen that she loses in the ambush. And she says, "I can't believe you lost Bart and Ward," her father would moan. "They were like the children I never had." And that's just so funny.
Yeah, some stuff is written very silly, but in a fun way. And I think I totally agree with you, Lukas, that I just recently started enjoying books that are slow, that just are told over a very short period of time and just focus on one thing. In this case, it's traveling, and a lot of cases it's traveling. Like, I think one of my favorite books is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. And that book is basically just, I am going to a place. And that's it. And this book is also, I am going to a place. And that was very fun. I like straightforward stories, I think.
Yeah. Also with a book that we both read and really enjoyed was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, which is, as you might have guessed from the title, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. So it's also just travels and vibes. And I like travels and vibes.
Nice. And I have to say, for me, these travels in this book, in Tusk Love, felt very nostalgic because I have to say I'm a big fan of Campaign 2 from Critical Role. And with the way they are taking in this book, it's like a stroll down memory lane. And that felt very fun and good.
I'm very glad that we have you as a Critical Role expert here. Maybe you can summarize your history with Critical Role. Maybe tell us when you started watching Critical Role and how long it took you to catch up.
So maybe for the people who don't know, we've talked about like campaigns and stuff. Critical Role is like a group of voice actors from America, and they play Dungeons and Dragons together. And they started streaming their game in 2015, and they got more and more popularity with that, and like have built a very big brand right now. Like they have TV shows and novels, several novels and comic books. And I started watching Critical Role, I think 2020, during the COVID lockdown. A friend recommended it and I started it and I was like, nah, I don't really feel it. And then some friends went on talking about it and they talked about the one shot that Matthew Messer, the game master, played with Stephen Colbert. You might know him as a late show host from America. Good man. And that was like, their one shot was so amazing. I was like, oh my God, I have to watch more. And then I started watching the Campaign 2 that was currently ongoing.
Is it called Mighty Nine?
The Mighty Nine, yes. And I basically did not stop. I mean, it was lockdown, so like not a lot of things to do. So like my life consisted of watching Critical Role, eating, sleeping, doing the barest minimum for university and playing D&D myself. And
repeat.
I started in September of 2020 and then caught up in December. And I think Campaign 2 started in 2018. And they released an episode every week that is about 3 to 4 hours long.
Good job.
I am healthy now.
This is a lot of content, but that also makes you our state-of-the-art expert on the Mighty Nine in this world, which I'm very happy about.
But you know what I think is a good thing about this book? Like, Lukas and I, we enjoy playing D&D, but we don't really watch that many one-shots and we don't follow like any online campaigns. But this book works nonetheless. Like, I know the barest minimum about Critical Role. Like, I've seen the animated TV show a bit, but that's it basically. And this book made sense for me. Like, there was never a point where I was like, huh? Do I have to watch a campaign now to understand that? Like, I thought there were things that might be from the campaign, but it was never like a big question mark for me. And that's good for like an adaptation. Because if you have to watch 2 campaigns to like understand one 300 pages book, that would be a lot.
Yeah, I'm really curious to know what you thought about this book. But I also think it will be very interesting to know what my focus was while I was reading, because it's very specific.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
What I also liked is that this book is kind of, like, I want to say diverse in quotation marks, because I don't know if diverse is the right word, but it's like different in its main characters, because one of the main characters is a half orc. And I guess in a lot of stories, like orcs or other monstrous looking humanoids, I guess, are rather like the not pretty sexy guys, but like the evil villains, because they're kind of idiots and not pretty, I guess. In this book, he's like the main sexy boy. So that was kind of refreshing to have like a diverser set of characters. Like pretty much every character that we come in contact with is like a different species, which makes sense in a D&D setting, but it also makes sense in a fantasy book. Like if you have different people, they can all look different.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
So should I maybe go into the context of this book? Like what's the deal with this story? Where does it come from?
Please.
So this book originates in the second campaign of Critical Role, the Mighty Nine, as we said. And especially in the first third of the campaign, the party tries to find secret information or spell books inside bookshops. And so one of the players, Liam O'Brien, kind of forces the game master, Matt Mercer, to invent a corny little bookshop where they are selling smut. Like, he explicitly is talking to NPCs and like, yeah, I'm looking for like the smuttiest books, like where can I find them? And Matt Mercer has to prep this basically porn shop. And then they go to the shop and they are offered several different books. They all have very fancy titles like Shallow Breaths. And like one of these books is Tusk Love. And another character, Jester. She's played by Laura Bailey, kind of the chaos bringer of the group, and she reads this book and her character immediately swoons over Oscar. This book kind of becomes a whole running gag during this campaign, and here it is very important to note that Laura Bailey's husband plays the half-orc Fae'd, who has salt and pepper hair in this campaign, and so Jester kind of starts to conflate Oscar and Fae'd a little bit, which brings a lot of fun. During this campaign, they bring up this book again and again, and whenever they do, they kind of improvise small sentences from the book, as if they are reading from the book. And at some point, they even read a whole passage to appease some ghosts, where several sentences fall, and one of them is like, "And it was real deep." So the sentences that they come up with lead the players to conclude that the book Tusk Love is actually not that good of a book. And like, Matt Mercer eventually compares it to a fan fiction. And so this book is a whole bit that it's like a crappy smut book. And then they were like, no, we're releasing the smut book into the world.
Yeah, I guess this is where my confusion on how to feel about this book comes in. Because I didn't know that in detail, but I kind of figured that in this campaign it must be like a funny bit if they talk about a smut book. So like, my biggest critique about this book is probably that I didn't like how little the magic of like the female main character played a bigger part, and that nothing of it was really fleshed out, and I really didn't know how the whole magic thing worked, and when it came up it was very shallow. And then I wondered, okay, but in a way this book is not a romantasy, it is just a romance book, because in Critical Role it is not a fantasy book, it is solely romance. So in the campaign, like in the story itself, it makes sense that this book doesn't read like a fantasy book, because it is not a fantasy book. But for me, it's a fantasy book. So,
yeah,
very confusing. And yeah, I totally agree. At some points, it really reads like a parody of a smut book.
That's the thing. A lot of scenes happened where I was like, okay, this has to be a parody, which, like, it is. Like, that's how the book was, the story kind of was created. But then again, it's not really a parody because it doesn't try to be, especially like the ending felt very sincere.
But I mean, are we gonna talk about the whole "this is Shrek meets Tangled" thing? Because I feel like if you buy this book, you should know this basically feels like a Shrek retelling mixed with some Tangled in there.
Yeah, I mean, in this version, it's just that Donkey is called Vindicator.
Yes. I mean, it's not just that he's green, but also that he's green.
I didn't have this association at all, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about it.
Okay, yeah, I have thoughts on it.
So now we have to issue a spoiler warning.
Spoiler! Duck
Spoiler
down
part from now
to hide
on.
from the spoilers.
Close your ears now. I think they should be warned now.
Okay.
All right, where do we start?
Well, I have to say, like, my whole reading is colored by the context of this thing. And I think I have to go way back a little bit because, like, Mercer invented the Dwendalian Empire, like the land where this is playing, as quite the oppressive empire. And he based the center of power on Germany, or maybe historic Germany. So, for example, the capital is called Rexentrum.
Stupid name.
Which is derived from the German Reichszentrum.
What?
Yes.
Okay, like I had an issue with basically all the names, because pretty much all the names are just names.
Yeah.
Like normal names. It's like Nico and Rex and something else, like I forgot Zach or something. And that kind of made me angry. I was like, this can't be Matt Mercer. He doesn't make up stupid stuff like that.
The thing is, there is a name that I am offended by. It's not in this book. But it is a thing in the Dash. And they have like this fancy place. And there are like these spires and they're big towers. And then they get to the Dash and he's like, yeah, and that's the Zauber Spire. And it's like, whoa, and that's where the magic people are.
Zauber? Like
yes.
Zauber?
Yes. It's basically
Zauber.
the magic tower. When I read that, I was like, no way. I thought it was like Zauber Spire. That's so cool. And then it's like, it's the magic tower. Okay.
Zauber is
Wild.
the German word for magic.
Yeah.
Before we get deeper into this, I was wondering if there's any campaign character that makes an appearance in this book.
I don't think so. Well, there is one thing. In Nicodranus, there is this big party at Lord Wensleydale's, and there's a singer named the Opal of the Ocean. And you have to know that Jester's mother is a very famous courtesan and singer in Nicodranus. And her mother's stage name is the Ruby of the Sea. Mm-hmm. And like Opal of the Ocean, Ruby of the Sea, here you go.
Yeah.
And the Ruby's actual name is Marion Lavore, and the Opal is called Mia Lavera. Like, if you read this in the context of how this book is supposed to be written, I guess, this means this fictional author, Matilda Merceria, either only vaguely knew her stuff about far-off lands, which is like what happens with like real authors in our world, or just wasn't allowed to use the Ruby's IP, which is also very funny.
Yeah.
I mean, how funny would it be for Jester to like read about her own mom in this story?
The point is, if you know that this book is published in this oppressive empire, that means this book is approved by this empire to be sold in like the second largest city. And so it has to adhere to the empire's values. And it was very fun and funny for me to find these instances of kind of like empire propaganda sprinkled into this book.
It's getting worse.
Do you have an example?
I have. That's my whole point, is the propaganda in this book.
Okay. I didn't catch it.
No, of course you didn't catch it, but I think it is explains
Why do you think
some
I'm
things.
stupid?
No, I think you don't know the context.
Okay.
So the first main thing is like, it's dangerous outside the empire's, especially the empire's city's borders, which is also kind of like the truth in this world. It's very dangerous. But also, the empire is the best. Like, nasty creatures, quote unquote, nasty creatures aren't welcome. Like, there's this whole plot that in the Dwendalian Empire, like, the humans are like the kind of, they have the power, and they have a war with like the Kryn dynasty, where like all the weird creatures like goblins and orcs and such, they are like the important people there. And like one of the first things Oscar says is like, that kind of talk may have been acceptable in whatever provincial backwater you crawled out from, but we're a little more sophisticated here in the Dwendalian Empire. And it's like a half orc saying that to the full orc. So even the lower class half orc preaches like for the empire against these undesirable creatures.
Okay.
It's a kind of funny thought that now propaganda will just be put in smut books. I mean, I'm sure there are some examples where you could read some leaning towards the side in a smut book, but I guess they're more like, for us, the correct view.
Yeah. The question is like, where does propaganda start and where it's just like the general opinion of like the society of this land?
It's self-amplifying.
Yeah. But like,
Deep
it's
shit.
interesting that the whole plot point of this book that she chooses Oscar in the end is like, even a lowborn citizen of the Dwendalian Empire is better than a nobleman from outside the empire.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was just about to question, like, if this is such a propaganda book, why is it so critical of royalty and the upper class? But that makes sense if, like, the royalty is from not the quote-unquote good empire.
Yeah, I also thought about that, and I think this is a book that appeases like the simple folk. Like, you have to give them something so that they are satiated. And it kind of lets them feel represented, and like it shows them, hey, you should be happy with what you have and not envy the rich. And it also kind of feels like the aristocrats in the 1780s of France, where it was fashionable to talk about the rights for the lower class people, but like don't actually change anything, like just before the French Revolution. And so I think like in the diegetic world, this book is supposed to cater to a broad audience. But I think the most obvious sentence of propaganda was something that Guinevere says, I think, several times. Often she exclaims, "In the name of the 6 approved gods!" And I think that in it of itself, that's an incredibly bad line of dialogue. But like it propagates the belief system of the empire, because lore time, in Exandria, there are 12 good gods and 9 evil gods called the betrayer gods. But in the Dwendalian Empire, like only 6 of the good gods are approved and allowed to be worshipped. And I think Mercer chose this to like show them this is like an oppressive empire, which it is because it oppresses beliefs. But so because Guinevere is like, yeah, I'm a good citizen of this empire. She's like, oh, in the name of the 6 approved gods. Yeah.
I thought it was funny. I was just like, oh, apparently that's how they talk there.
But to me, it was also funny. Like,
but a different kind of funny.
I guess, yeah.
A kind of funny that cuts deeper.
But also not really, because this is fictional propaganda for a fictional world. Which makes it meta funny, I guess.
Yeah, these are all revelations to me. I did not expect the meta comedy of this book to go so deep, honestly. But it's just, I think it's a funny concept to have this kind of propaganda undertones in this diegetic book.
Yeah. I have to say I laughed out loud very often while I read this book.
But did you also moan out loud?
No, I did not moan out loud.
What? Despite all the sexy smut scenes?
No, I just liked them for myself.
In contrary to you, Lukas, you said you didn't like the smut.
It's not necessarily that I didn't like it. I was just like, why am I reading this now?
What I found interesting is this book is told from the perspectives of both the main characters. And so it's, I guess, a female and a male perspective. And because that's obviously very different to ACOTAR, the ACOTAR series. So I thought, maybe you get more out of this than like ACOTAR, which is only Feyre's point of view. So I was interested, like, what was your experience of Oscar's point of view, I guess?
Maybe Oscar is just a bit weird to me. I mean, he's just horny all the time. And then when they get it on, he says some icky stuff that I was just like, why are you so like possessive and weird all of a sudden? Oh God, you're so tight and fresh and why? Right. Why do I need this in my fun fantasy book?
You know, I have a very split opinion on I have a very split opinion on the whole smut, because I did not mind the smut in itself, and I thought like the sex scenes were well written, I guess, because they didn't feel too short. Because whenever a sex scene is like just 2 sentences, I'm just like, why put it in there? Yeah. Like, if you don't want to write about it, just leave it out. But these felt fleshed out and all different and all different in like how they took place and what happened. And
yeah, they were different every time. They always had different kind of sex.
Right, like different techniques, different dirty talk. Like, but in itself, that's cool. And then I like that it kind of talks about the topic of like female lust and desire, because Gwen comes from this place where all like her emotions and those desires are kind of frowned upon. Like, she's a high lady and she should behave like that and don't bring shame to the family. And then with Oscar, she learns that it's okay to feel like that, and she kind of steps into that. I just really didn't like how all of the sex was portrayed as hard and always enjoyable, and it has to hurt a little. And she's immediately so good at it, because like it is natural, but it's also something you have to like get into. Like, he is very experienced and she's not, and then they immediately are so great at it, and the things he says are so icky. Like the whole talk about her being tight and him liking how tight she is, that just felt unnecessary. And there was this one scene where she kind of talks him down to being a bit more gentle, and then in her point of view, I think she says, like, he was so gentle and she very much enjoyed that. And she never knew that a big man like that could be so gentle to her. And then in his point of view, he's like, being gentle almost killed him, but he did it for her. And I was just like, bro, like, it very much read like he did not enjoy the sex because it wasn't rough and was gentle. Like, he did it for her, and of course he's glad she enjoyed it, but like, he didn't take any enjoyment out of that. And I really, really, really didn't like that portrayal of sexual relationships. And they had a very nice relationship before they slept with each other the first time, because like, he opened up to her. He cried in her arms. He like told her his troubles and his stories. And then when they started having sex, that kind of stopped. Like, their relationship turned pretty much only physical from that moment on. Like, whenever they had a talk, they also had sex. And that made me kind of sad. Like, why don't have both? Like, there's no problem with being very intimate, and there's no problem with liking it rough. Like, if they both do, that's cool. But if that's the only thing in your relationship,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have that deep of a reading, I guess. Or, like, it's not really a deep reading. It's just thought about, which is good. And the point of this podcast.
Really? Thank you. I did my homework.
But I have to agree, I didn't enjoy his dirty talk. It was... Ugh. And, like, Guinevere at some point is like, bro, stop saying these things.
Yeah.
And then he, like, even takes poetry lessons. And when he uses that knowledge, I guess, I even found sweet what he said. But then he stops and says weird stuff again.
Yeah. No, that was icky. And I think, like, my biggest problem with all of that was how Gwen appears to be this... I think people often call it, like, the born sexy trope, which I'm currently reading, like, side note, opening up my academic views on the world now. No, I started to, like, take non-fictional books to work, because whenever I have a break, I'm sitting down, like, I read 1 or 2 pages, and then, like, I eat, and then I go back to work. And I don't like reading fictional stuff then, because then I get into the story and immediately out of the story. But if I read something non-fictional, that's good. So I started reading Witches, Bitches, and It Girls, which is a book about, like, how our patriarchal stuff comes from, like, histories and stories about women and stuff like that. And it's actually a very good book. It's a German book. And there she talks a lot about the whole born sexy trope, which comes from way back, and starts basically with all the Greek goddesses that are formed already, like, in mature bodies. Like Aphrodite, who comes from, like, sea foam, or Athena, who comes from Zeus's mind. They are, like, new to the world and naive and have to learn everything and are taught pretty much by man how the world works and what their place in this world is. But they already look like mature women. They are sexy. They are very pretty. And in a way, that can be applied to Gwen as well, because she comes from this very sheltered place. And she's like a newborn thrown out into this world that is suddenly dangerous, and she's alone. And then along comes this man who teaches her how to do, like, normal stuff and shows her how the world works, which in itself could be, like, a nice thing, because she gets to experience the real world. But all the time, he highlights how attractive she is, how sexy she looks, how off he gets by how naive she is and how young she behaves. I felt like in so many scenes, Gwen felt like a child.
Yeah.
The stuff she does. And I think we're all thinking about the same scene when she's in, I don't remember the city name,
That
but
city that
where
has
he
a
lives.
name.
Druvenlode.
Probably.
I guess.
And then she goes out alone and meets those two.
Jimmy Butcher and Warwick.
Right. She meets Jimmy Butcher and Warwick, the two, like, crime bosses of the city. And she doesn't know they're evil, so she just hangs out with them. I don't know.
The thing is, like, that whole scene, at that point I was, like, convinced this was going to, like, it's very much in the beginning, so I was like, this whole book is going to be a parody, because she's absolutely oblivious to the fact that Jimmy Butcher just was about to murder Warwick? I don't know. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm alone here and I have all this valuable stuff. Where can I sell this? And they're like, ooh, she's all alone, you know? And she has all this valuable stuff. And then they just escort her anyways and become like her lackeys. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
Right.
that was weird. It kind of feels like a scene that was maybe conceived at a stage in the writing of this book where maybe the author still thought she might write a parody, and then that kind of changed because the book becomes more sincere later. But that's right. Gwen was just the pinnacle of naivete. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so.
Naivete.
She was so stupid. And I usually do not like to read like stupid women. But it was so funny.
It was.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
Like over the course of this journey, like she grows more self-assured, I guess, and grows more into her own and like even fends for herself a little bit. And
Just a little bit.
and like it lost more and more of this funny stuff. And I think that's why, like, especially like the ending scenes, or not the ending scene, but like this whole last sixth of the book, I guess, was like, yeah, I guess.
Right. This crime boss scene is what like kicked my brain into the direction of Tangled, because there's this bar scene where they go to this crime bar. And have you not seen Tangled?
Really? No, I've
What?
started it, and for some reason I couldn't watch it to the end.
Oh no.
Yeah, I still have to watch it.
Then I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's like a very similar scene. They go into a bar and then everyone looks very evil and is behaving very evil, and she's totally oblivious to all that and just talks to them and kind of has like a therapy session with all of them and just gets them all to admit their hopes and dreams in the world, and they all after that want to do better and want to achieve something. And
Nice.
it felt very much like that. I think in this book there's also another scene where they go to a bar and she like drinks beer for the
Yeah.
first time. And she also talks to like all the other people sitting there and asks them, what do you want to do in life? What person are you? What are your dreams? What do you wish for? And that's also very Rapunzel.
Yeah.
Rapunzel in this movie also born sexy.
Right?
Yeah.
But not that sexy because it's like a children's movie.
But yeah, the movie has-
It kind of fits the trope.
A similar problem, just not that sexy.
She's just born.
Yeah. I like that you pointed that out, because it gives me kind of a vocabulary to put into words what I felt, because I noticed that I felt confused at some points, because I was like, she feels like a child right now, but also and now it feels icky that he's attracted to her, but then again she's 20 and she just doesn't know a lot of stuff, I guess. So yeah,
And
left me confused a bit.
Like she did have experiences of lust, I guess, but just not that fleshed out.
That's the thing. Like at some point she's like, oh yeah, I've talked almost in codes with my girlfriends in the capital city, and of course I knew about that and about that. Of course we had different names for the manhood or whatever.
The length.
Yes. And then she comes out.
What? She comes out?
No.
Yay!
Doesn't she say she like kissed boys and girls in her hometown?
Yeah, I think so. What I also found funny, like it's just one sentence, so it's not that loaded with much gravity, but she tells Oscar that she has a betrothed waiting for her. And then he uses the singular they pronoun, and then she corrects him and says it's a man. So Oscar is like, could be anyone.
Good of him.
Yeah.
I also caught that, and was kind of funny because being that aware of how to talk about queerness just kind of felt out of place in this like medieval time book. But I was like, yeah, it fits because, well, D&D, at least our D&D, I don't know how it is in Critical Role, is very gay all the time. Is this also the case in Critical Role?
Yeah, Critical Role, like the characters are very queer.
Nice.
It's
But
very nice.
That's, I guess, also nice that the Dwendalian Empire is oppressive, but apparently not against queer people.
Yes. Only
Nice.
against not so humanoid creatures.
There's always something.
But I think that's very indicative of the intention Mercer had probably in building his world. Like, he is very intentional in putting representation into his NPCs and into his world. But he also wants to portray an oppressive empire, so he invents like discrimination against like fictional stuff, but like real world stuff is just normal.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a good
and
way.
that's the good thing about fantasy. Like, often when you write medieval fantasy fiction, people say, oh no, they can't be queer because like in medieval times that was oppressed. But you're writing a fictional world. You can just change it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's nice.
Yeah.
You can tell these important stories about oppression and discrimination, but queer people can still feel nice when they watch it or read
Yeah.
it.
But to be fair, there's not really queer representation in this book.
No.
No.
It's just vibes over.
That's why
guess.
I like put diverse
Yeah.
in like quotation marks at the beginning. But he's green, so
He's Shrek. Shrek is so diverse. It's an ogre, it's a donkey. It's great.
yeah. I mean, come on, let's talk about the whole Shrek parallel. The main guy is green. He's grumpy, very grumpy. Not as grumpy as Shrek, but he is grumpy. He has a horse
Is
that
he
kicks
Scottish?
ass. He's not Scottish, but he could be.
But
Well-
the horse that kicks ass is not Shrek, that's Tangled.
The thing is, he is from Druvenlode, which is a mining town, which makes sense then that it would be a dwarvish community, mostly dwarvish community, which in a Mercer world makes them Scottish.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah,
Great.
The horse that kicks ass, I kind of thought that would be like a donkey equivalent.
Okay,
But
yeah.
maybe, what's the other horse called?
Pudding.
Pudding. That could also be, like maybe Pudding and Vindicator, the both.
I love these horses so
Maybe
much.
the two of them are donkey. Because donkey is very dorky, but also he kicks ass.
Well, and Pudding is the one that interrupts like their kiss and stuff. So
Right.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the mission of Shrek is to like get a betrothed girly to her family.
Yeah, and
So-
then they fall in love. And yeah, it's kind of the same story. And where do Gwen and Oscar share their first kiss? In a swamp. It's just how it is.
Get out of my swamp!
yeah, the thing is, like, as I said, I didn't make this connection, but like from what I saw,
How didn't you make
I'm sorry, but Shrek isn't that far in the forefront of my mind, to be honest.
dare you.
I know, I'm sorry. I should be better.
He's Scottish. He's voiced by Willem Dafoe.
No, he is not.
Okay.
He's voiced by Mike Myers, who is also very cool.
I thought I might be able to gaslight you.
No, I
She
know.
has seen Shrek.
Yes.
She just doesn't think about Shrek.
And also he's Scottish.
Get out of me swamp! What I wanted to say was, from the snippets, I guess, I got of Tusk Love from the campaign, I always imagined Oscar as this noble, honorable man that is like this, how do you describe it? This hyperbole of a noble man, I guess, even though he is lowborn.
A lowborn with a noble heart,
Yes.
you mean.
And I guess he's kind of noble in this book. But as you said, he's so grumpy. He complains about everything, like in his mind at least, when we are reading Oscar chapters. And I'm like, why? What's wrong? I mean, I know what's wrong with you, but
I have to admit, I really, really, really don't like Oscar. I
Oscar!
just can't stand that man. I think he is what drove me away from this book so many times, where I was just like, no, I'm gonna stop reading now. I have to take a breather and not think about him. And it's not just because, like, my mom's cat is called Oscar. He is the silliest, funniest, stupidest cat I've ever met. And I love him so much. And at first I was like, no, this guy is called Oscar. I, A, cannot take him serious, and B, I love him already so much. Like, I just saw his name and I was like, I love you. You're called Oscar. Of course I love you. And then I spent like one chapter with him and was like ready to burn this book. No, it wasn't that bad. I don't know. There are so many icky things about him. And I just don't think I'm a fan of the grumpy ex-sunshine trope. I just don't like that. Like, if he cannot be nice, he's not cool.
But he's noble in his heart, Meike. He brought his mom lunch into the mines,
Even though he was scared.
He's scared of being underground. That's noble.
Great, awesome.
noble.
You know
And
what?
more importantly, he is a smith who trained with the swords. So he is Will Turner. From Pirates of the Caribbean, Will Turner.
I know who Will Turner is, but
He
Will
was
Turner
also
is
a
not
smith apprentice.
the only smith who knows how to fight.
And you know,
But
I'm not.
that's like the Smith apprentice
Okay.
who knows how to fight, and he's sexy.
Stop arguing. I'm not done with my Oscar rant.
Okay.
What manifested my hate for him the most, I think, was the way he treated Gwen when he thought he wasn't good enough for her and wanted her to stay with her fiance boyo, whose name
Gerald Lord Wensleydale or
right,
something.
his
Or
name I always
Fitzherbert?
forget.
I'm not sure.
Because that is like also a trope. Like the author didn't make that behavior up. She didn't invent it. It's often a thing that like a man, like or just a character, thinks, no, this person should do something else. They shouldn't stay with me, and then behave very badly. So the other person leaves them willingly, I guess. And it always makes me so mad. Because, no, you can't just be mean to someone you like. You cannot break their heart just so they leave you because they don't like you anymore. Just talk to her. Just open your tusky mouth and talk to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so angry.
Especially like the scenes before that. Like we get, like, it's the ball at Lord Wensleydale's, her fiance. And like she is made up in this perfect dress and comes down the stairs and is reintroduced to society. And we get this from, whose perspective do we get first? His or hers? I'm not sure.
Maybe his.
I think first we get her perspective while she sees herself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't recognize myself. This is not me. I have become a wholly different person. I hate this. And then we switch to Oscar, where he sees her coming down the stairs and is like, oh, yes, she's perfect. She fits here. This is where she belongs. This is her. This is her personality. And then we switch back to her and she's like, I hate this. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to be here. And I was just like, I know this is not like the longest time that they've spent with each other, but I am told that they have this undying love for each other, this relationship. They're fated for each other, basically. But they don't know each other.
Yeah.
Like, he sees this and is like, yes, this is exactly what she's supposed to do. And she's like, I hate this. Like, this is more than a misunderstanding. I don't know.
Yes.
I didn't feel the chemistry.
But I have to cut the book some slack. I read it as Oscar trying to convince himself that she belongs there.
Okay,
and
fair.
maybe lying to himself. That was my read on the situation. But why he does that, I don't know.
I mean,
he's so consumed by love for Gwen this entire book. And I was also a bit annoyed by the fact that he then just decides to fuck off and basically gaslight himself into thinking that she belongs there.
I think often, like, this is also a very insta-lovey story where it happens so quickly that they fall in love, which makes sense when you're, like, in close quarters. Like, he's the only person she's with and the other way around. But I just never really thought they fit that well together.
But
'Cause
their mouths fit perfectly together.
perfect. Also,
Like two
kissing
pieces of
with tusks.
Puzzle.
But
I don't
this is the whole point that we need to talk about. Like, when they first, like, start kissing each other, and, like, she's describing what his tusks are doing, I was like, ooh, is this going in, like, a monster fuckery direction? Like, I'm interested what else these tusks are about to do, but they never do anything else. Like, I don't know what I want them to do, but, like...
I was about to ask.
but...
You know, I saw a lot of people online call this a monster romance, and I disagree.
Yeah, he's just a dude.
With tusks.
And
Right.
she's green.
Right.
But that's it.
He doesn't feel
Well, and he
monstery.
has a thicker skin, so mosquitoes can't bite him.
Yeah, I
That's
was jealous
just-
of that.
That's just a gift from the 6 approved gods.
Right. Or maybe the 12 other
Who knows?
peeps.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. She felt so full of joy in a lot of scenes, and he was just like, "Nyah, nyah, nyah, nyah," and then he played along, often just to shut her up, and I don't know.
But he warms up to her over the course of their
But he
relationship.
doesn't really. Like, A bit. But then at the end, there's like this flower crown scene where he's so annoyed that she gave him this flower crown, and he says so in her face, and then like he goes on and wears it, but he like in his POV he feels very grumpy about wearing that flower crown. I was like, no.
Well, I was like, who shat in your boot? Like, when they met this druid, then Oscar's like, oh no, a tree hugger, the worst thing in the world. And I was like, what do you have against druids?
But it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I have to say, I feel like you have very valid points, but I have to admit, like, for the most time, I had quite a good time reading this book.
Yeah.
I didn't have a bad time. I just didn't like him. All the time I wasn't rooting for them.
Did you like Guinevere, though?
Yes, I think so. Like, sometimes she was a bit annoying.
Yeah.
Like, this childlike behavior got a little on my nerves, but I think I like how she sees the world and how she like grew. I just would have loved to read a lot more about her magic, and this fire spirit living inside of her.
Yeah.
Who, like, we didn't even talk once about this fire spirit because it has no point in this book.
Yeah. Her name is Tained?
Tainted? I
Tainted?
don't know.
Tainted?
I always read it as Tainted. I have to say this name has not come up in my encounter with Critical Role. I have to say I've not read like all the like they published like game books and stuff, and I have not read like those lower books. I just watched the show.
I mean, Tained is, I'd say, a fun little metaphor that mirrors her whole emotional journey. And as that it works, but I agree. It would have been cool to see a bit more fire action. I mean, she even meets this one person of the Bone Crusher clan whom she like travels with and talks with, and she's like also a firebender, and she's like, boy, you can extinguish the flames, fire's not just evil. And then I thought, oh nice, she now has a mentor. And then they never meet again.
I love the Bone Crusher clan, though.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
this was the part I enjoyed the most. It felt very travel party, and the clan itself was just so fun. Like, all of them so different and funny.
Yeah,
and
I liked them a
That was
lot.
a very good part.
Yeah. Fire also plays a very important role in the second campaign. So, like, I read some people's takes where they were like, oh, it's great that they pick up this fire story thread in this book. So that kind of mirrors something that happens in campaign 2. But it's like it has nothing to do with the plot in campaign 2 that is related to fire. But yeah, I also was like hoping for a bigger plot reveal. Like, while reading, I had like these wild theories what it could have been, and then it's just like some stolen jewels. I was just like, huh? That's it? Okay.
Right. The whole mystery around the box was kind of disappointing. Like, the whole ending. It felt too much crammed into like the last few pages, and it didn't satisfy me.
Yeah. But then again, like, as you said, this is a romance book with a touch of fantasy that belongs to this world. Yeah.
It probably just needed an ending.
Yeah.
It's not about the ending, it's about the smut.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, I felt like the ending, well, it was a bit cramped, but the overarching theme of the ending was quite predictable.
Yes.
But I think the term I would use for this entire plot is positively predictable.
Yes, I like that.
Because it, you know, sometimes I want to read stuff that surprises me and is a mindfuck and it catches me off guard. But here it was just like, this is a romance book. I fully expect them to make it out alive and live a happy life together. And then that happens.
Yeah.
And I had a nice time.
That's the thing, like, you know they will end up together, but you don't know how. Like, he brings her to Lord Wensleydale, and then she's like, okay, I'm here now. And you're like, what will happen next? Like, they somehow have to get together still. I fully expected them to be so foolish as to sleep with each other in his mansion, and then they get caught and just thrown out.
That would have been a fun ending.
What I also kind of expected, well, not really expected, but I think it would have been a cool twist if Lord Wensleydale was just the greatest and nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a great dude, because that would add a little sparkle of conflict.
Yeah. But he isn't. He's an
he's
asshole.
just a dick.
He just appears as if he were
A
a
nice
nice
guy.
dude.
Yeah, but I saw through him immediately, because he's blonde.
it kind of feels like we're getting to the end of our discussion, and I hate comparing everything to ACOTAR. But since this is like the big thing on our podcast, there was one moment where I had to laugh out loud because it kind of almost felt like a nostalgic nod towards ACOTAR. The story of Gwen's family felt very much like the story of Feyre's family, because her father, he lost all his wealth in his sunken ships. He sent ships. He was a very wealthy merchant, and then he sent his ships over to somewhere else.
True.
And they all sunk, and then he had nothing, and he tried to hide it, but then everything else got taken from him, and now they are poor. And he's a shitty father. Also, Feyre's father is shitty. So it kind of...
But they're differently shitty.
Right, Feyre's father is...
Just not there.
Right, and Gwen's father sucks.
Yeah, he's an asshole, and
he's selling his daughter.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought maybe this was actually an intentional nod towards, like, I don't want to say Sarah J. Maas invented the romantasy genre, but like she certainly kicked off this whole big flood of romantasy we have right now. So kind of writing a somewhat parody of a romantasy book and being like, ACOTAR. Read that?
Yeah. I also noticed the Lord of the Rings reference in the book. At one point, I don't know exactly what he says, but he's like, one does not simply...
Yes.
And I was like, nice.
I think I might have noticed Critical Role reference here and there. Yeah.
You noticed that.
No, I didn't. But it was fun to finally step into this world that you, Lea, have been so obsessed with for most of your life. No, that's not true.
Honestly, I was kind of sad it didn't open the world of Critical Role up to me more, because I kind of felt like, oh, now I would learn about the lands of Critical Role. But then when I started reading, I was like, well, actually, this is not about Critical Role. It's a book in Critical Role.
Yeah.
So makes sense.
Like, I'm not disappointed in the book. I was just, I had a different expectation, and then I remembered, this is not a fictional book.
Yeah.
But if
not a fantasy book, sorry. Not a fantasy book.
This is now kind of getting into advertising territory. We unfortunately do not get any money for this. But I mean...
Critical Role, hit us up!
Yes, please!
I mean, if you want to give us money...
Yeah, because, they did write or publish other novels that are supposed to be good novels, I guess. I haven't read them. That are like... I don't think they're like romantasy, but they're like obviously fantasy about some of the characters. And so if anyone is interested in reading that stuff...
Yeah. I guess it makes sense to not go out of your way and explain the lore behind all these places. Because if you would write a romance book in our world and they go to, I don't know, Paris, he would not be like, Paris, the capital of France, that was founded in so-and-so by so-and-so. So I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it was fun to kind of get a glimpse of this world that I never really got into. I mean, we tried watching Campaign 3 together. And I was present for 2 of these episodes.
Even though you were asleep.
Yeah, and I fell asleep during the first 10 minutes on both of these occasions.
But you were sicky. Maybe that's your excuse. Maybe you should try healthy.
Maybe it made me sick.
I mean, you did watch the animated series, and there's a second one coming this year.
Really?
Mighty 9 is getting animated this year.
Actually, I have a question about Mighty 9.
Yes.
Is it Mighty 9?
Yes.
Like 9 the number, or...
So as I said, the seat of power of the Dwendalian Empire... Oh, I read about this yesterday in like the fan wiki or whatever.
No, but like I'm not asking about the backstory
yeah,
of
it's 9. Okay. It's the word 9 because like one of the characters...
The number
Which
9.
word 9?
Like the no, German no.
Okay,
why?
I was about to explain that.
Okay. So it is the German no.
Yes.
Okay. Because as context for our listeners, you probably haven't heard, but
we are German.
We are actually German. So yeah, it confuses us.
So, like as I said, the seat of power of the Dwendalian Empire rises from a society that is like Zemnia or whatever, like it's the Zemni fields and stuff, and that is like the German culture, whatever, in this land. And one of the characters from the Mighty 9 is from there, and he has a German accent. And the actor, Liam O'Brien, actually does a very good German accent. He speaks a little bit of German, not that very good. But
Not that very good.
but his accent is very, very good. Like in the first few episodes, I thought he was German.
Okay.
And then he broke character at some point, and I was like, oh, wow. So then when they are looking for a group name, and then he suggests the Mighty Nine because they say, no, you cannot go any further. And then it becomes like a running gag because they are never like a whole group of 9, but in the end, like with all their friends, they amass, they are actually in the end 9 people, and that's fun.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because I saw the name spelled out, I think, like a few days ago on
Probably
Twitter.
on Amazon or something.
And I was confused because I always thought it would be Mighty 9, like 9 the number. And then I saw it was written Mighty 9. And I remembered you saying something vague about it being influenced by German language. And I was like, did they just misspell it? Did they not know that 9, the number, is not 9 in German, but 9? And Mighty 9 would have annoyed them? I don't know.
Annoyed them.
But you know, Mighty 9 would also be a fun campaign.
Mighty Neun, yeah.
But the thing is, like, as so many things, like this book, these things happened out of a bit. And I think that's very true for a lot of D&D groups,
Yes.
also for
Yeah.
us. And, like, because they rolled a lot of 9s, and then they were like, 9! They always said 9! And because Liam O'Brien, the actor who plays this pseudo-German character, he's like, oh, I can't make this German accent. Like, I can't imitate that. But he's like, oh, I rolled a 9. And then everyone was like, oh, what? And yeah, you know. And that became a bit. And then everyone was like, 9. And then they were
Yeah.
like, what group are we? Like, I'm very invested in this. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But it feels true to D&D form to have
Yes.
lore develop out of bits.
But then you have to imagine that, like, we have a D&D group and we have bits, but they just make their bits come true. That's so funny. You have, like, imagine what power you have and how much money.
We never started a D&D stream.
Yeah.
Why not?
'Cause-
I'm asking you.
It's an effort.
All right. But we did start a podcast, so yay.
Yay!
Maybe at some point we will do a D&D bonus episode. That would be cool.
Would be fun.
That would be cool.
Oh, maybe we should do like an ACOTAR one shot.
Nice.
Let's keep that in our little pretty minds.
Because this would be an incentive for people to follow this podcast so they don't miss the ACOTAR one shot. Oh, I'm sorry, the ACOTAR one shot.
ACOTAR.
We're all gonna be British. No, I'm gonna be Scottish.
Oh no!
But then we can invite Ewan McGregor and he can teach me, finally.
As a, like, maybe final send-off or something, like, I'm actually not sure if this is interesting or not, but are you interested
No.
in what parts of the book actually were created out of improvisation?
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing is just a sentence that I know I've read in this book, and that is, as he ripped open her bodice. That's like Laura Bailey just improvises that at some point.
Okay.
And then all the, oh, Oscars. Like, Guinevere says that a lot. And that's like the first thing where it kind of becomes a bit, where Jester's like, oh, Oscar. And then, like, they incorporated a lot in there, and, like, it shifts my opinion of how I view that now. Because now she imitates Guinevere, and not, like, it's just swooning over him. And then what I found interesting, like what I forgot, and then like I watched a little Tusk Love compilation yesterday, and like the whole ending scene is improvised. Like at some point, Jester just goes like, "Oh, this is just like the scene from Tusk Love." And then they're like what? And then, oh, you know, where their ship is sinking and they're paddling to the shore and the ship is burning down. And she had to incorporate that into the story.
Honestly,
And
that makes so much sense.
Yeah. Because
that is
we
why
thought,
they suddenly were on the ship.
yeah, we thought the ending was so full and grand, but that makes sense. She had to get to the ship somehow. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So that were the things that I spotted. Like, unfortunately, I did not watch the whole campaign again. And the compilation
Why not?
only
Please
went...
don't start again.
I think I might when the first season dropped. Like, I really love the beginning episodes of Mighty Nine because they're all so new and they get to know each other, and Like, I always start the campaign and then I get like 30 episodes in and then I stop. Maybe not 30. I don't know.
That's so much content.
I don't think I got to episode 30.
It's 120 hours.
Yeah, over some
That's
time.
a lot.
But what I wanted to say was that the compilation only went to episode 75. So, like, the first half of the campaign.
That's a long campaign.
Yeah.
But speaking of a lot of hours of content on this very podcast, Getting Fae'd, I counted and I forgot. Wait, I think we have like 38 hours of consecutive content that you can consume. Isn't that great?
Awesome.
For everyone who tuned in only for this Tusk Love episode, we have a lot of thoughts about the ACOTAR series. So if you're interested, hey, check out our other episodes. We have a lot of unhingedness and funness over there.
Yes, but maybe let's do some closing statements for Tusk Love first.
Okay, I'll start. If you're a fan of Critical Role and The Mighty Nine, I think you will get a lot of enjoyment out of this book. The end.
Meike,
It's okay if you have negative things to say.
this is a safe space. It's only broadcast to the entire internet to hear.
I just don't know. I think it's incredibly funny, especially if you read it as a Shrek and Tangled fanfiction. It's a bit weird, but I guess every D&D content is a bit weird.
Yeah, so I think I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a fun and cozy and quick read, because it is a fun and cozy and quick read, and I had a lot of fun. And also you can just skip the smut if you're not into that.
Did you know there are sites on Instagram where people like take books and tell you on which pages smut happens so that you can skip it?
I did not know that, but that's really helpful.
Or maybe that you can seek it out.
Yeah, I mean, the pages advertise it as... The pages I saw felt very Christian. So they were
Okay.
like, skip the smut because it's not good for you. But also, if you are just very much not into smut, you could just use that as...
Well,
Again-
I don't like this like twist of it's evil, but
Yeah.
like I think it's good like if you're just interested in the story and then you don't want to encounter
Smut.
that sort of mature content.
Yeah. Although, again, I'm not against smut. I'm not a smut hater. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I didn't need it.
Wow. But you deserve it.
Why, thank you, Lea. I mean, I like your point, Meike, that you made earlier, that at least the book goes out of its way to actually dive into these scenes, and I can appreciate that. I think, for me, that's better than to just have 2 sentences of teasing how they are now gonna sleep together, and then you don't really get into it. But we did get into it just like Oscar got inside Guinevere.
Definitely. Real deep.
Really deep.
It is really deep.
I mean, half-orcs. I don't know. Do you know the lore, Lea? Do they
No,
have...
I just know what's written in that book where she's like, I don't know if I can take that. That's so big and round. That's my bed voice.
Very seductive.
Nice.
That's how Guinevere sounds in my head.
Oh,
She's so sweet in her delicate voice. Oi, 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 oi.
But in the end, she could take it.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Happy end.
Happy end.
Also, they didn't use any protection. That
Yes.
made me kind of anxious.
Like, I was like, okay, she's just going to this lord, marrying him, and then birthing a quarter orc.
Like, yeah, it's totally yours.
I don't know my ancestry. I'm sorry. Well, on that note, I guess you should tune in next week when we're talking about A Court of Mist and Fury again. But if you can't wait until then, you should go check out our socials on Instagram and TikTok at Getting Fae'd Pod, where you can find some memes and highlights and outtakes.
You could also send us book recommendations
Yes.
in our DMs, because we do want to continue this little
Bonus book club.
Bonus book.
book club.
No relation to the British Broadcasting Network.
Who's that?
I don't know. They don't exist. Who? What? No.
What?
BBC who?
CBS, what the fuck? Yeah, we want to continue this. We are happy for all the recommendations. Because in the occasional off week between our bi-weekly episodes.
There are episodes coming, just you know.
Yeah.
We should end now.
We have an appointment!
I tried to be so succinct.
So succinct.
Well, to be so succinct now, I guess we will see you next time when we are
Getting Fae'd!